That old watcher. I don't know what I expected, but it sure wasn't that. Nah, well, it's kinda embarrassing now. I just got a dumb idea in my head is all. Don't know why I thought it'd work. It's funny. That's probably the first thing I got my hopes up for in, I don't know, years. At least I got that out of it. All right. Guess fair is fair, and you did bring me to see him. Those rumors back in Gilded Vale about my brother, Woden, about how he turned against us and fought for Widewind, been on my mind for some time now. The thing about Woden was, he always knew what was right, and that's what he'd do. One day he set out to fight for Deerwood against a man claiming to be our god. So I knew that's what I had to do too. It was right. And hearing claims that he died fighting for Rhea Saris, that got me worried. Not that he'd chosen the wrong side, but that I had. Didn't seem right what Widewind had in store, but if he really was Aethys, I thought, maybe this old Watcher would know how my brother died, so I could see if it was true. Like he could, I don't know, read it in my soul or something. Use our connection. Told you it was dumb. Of course, I knew the truth deep down. The Watcher's not psychic. I think I just had this idea, and the idea made me feel a certain way, and I didn't want to lose that. You've done a lot for me already, but if you could see fit to pay that archive a visit with me, well, you know. Knowing my luck, the records clerk will go crazy and try to kill me. I'd feel better with you in there with me. What can I do for you? Of course. Merely processing some of the unusual things we've seen lately. And if Meerwald is to be believed, it would seem you've an uncertain future ahead. Perhaps Defiance Bay holds the answers we need. What's on your mind? Oh, other than the war, I never strayed too far from where you found me. Farming, mostly. I was never much for cities. Never learned to trade. In my younger days, I thought I was gonna go preach the word of Aethys. Just in our temple there. My parents encouraged it. I made so much trouble for them growing up. They used to say it'd be best if I got in good with the God of Redemption. Of course, us blowing him up probably didn't help my chances there. But if anybody'd forgive you for blowing him up, it'd be Aethys. They, they did. It was strange timing, because we just won the war. They celebrated when I came home. There was music and dancing. Trumbull used half his grain making this big honey cake. I still dream about that cake. Like having the best lover of your life, but only for one night. And they were all sorry to hear about my brother. It took a while for word of the purges to reach us. Aethasians being murdered in the streets, cold morn and the like. No way would they let something like that happen in Gilded Vale. That's what they all said. But the weeks went by and the purges spread. Pretty soon they weren't so sure my brother fought for Deerwood. And they weren't so sure I did. Caught me by surprise after all the celebrating. Should have seen it coming after the tailor said he was gonna fit me for some new clothes, but then all he wanted was my neck measurement. Nah, not that last part. But you had to think about it. Says a lot about the place I've been calling home all these years. I'm sure my parents are still wondering the same thing. The Aethasian purges were like this madness had come over the town, like a disease. Seems like when you see something like that, your instinct is to wait for it to pass, even when you know it probably won't. The family whose farm I worked on, they had a little hollow-born girl. And they heard the Animancers had this cure, salvation it was called. They went running. This salvation, they were putting animal souls in children. You might have heard about it, giving them enough personality to care for themselves. You can guess how that turned out. Matter of time, the children broke down, became wild things, monsters. Anyway, these farmers put the family dog's soul in their little girl. For a while, the girl, she's making eye contact, she's feeding herself, albeit in a kind of messy way. And one day she snaps. They found her gnawing on her brother's bones. Had to chain her up, put her in a cow pen. Well, the mother, she wouldn't have anything to do with the girl after that. But the father, he'd visit every day, feed her chickens, toss water on her once in a while to get the dirt off. Most of the village, they'd whisper about him. Poor man, they'd say, sick with grief. He was just waiting for his daughter to look up one day and recognize her papa. He was waiting for her to get better. Didn't understand that at the time, of course, but these days I think about him a lot. Woden was, about everything you'd want your firstborn son to be. Dutiful, honest, put thought into everything he did. A real pain in my ass. Made me look bad about every way he could. It wasn't something he tried to do, but of course that just makes it worse. Not that he didn't get into trouble himself. He was just better about feeling guilty after. We used to have this farmer near us, Hereward. Couldn't stop talking about how well he cared for his chickens, how their feathers were the whitest in town. Convinced the butcher to pay him double what the other farmers got. Me and Woden got tired of hearing it. I was maybe 11, 12 at the time. We borrowed about 6 different dyes from the dyer one night. Dyed Hereward's chickens every color but white. Next morning, the butcher comes knocking, asking for 6 of his whitest chickens. We were feeling great, up until Hereward saw what we'd done. He just got on his knees and cried right there, all those colorful chickens around him not knowing what to make of it. I thought it served him right, but I could tell Woden had other thoughts. Sure enough, the next day, every one of those chickens had been scrubbed down. They weren't white, mind you, but Woden sure tried. Never said a word to me about it, but I knew. That was Woden. My parents, they always let us be who we were. Never told me to be more like him or anything like that. Which was good, because I was never gonna. What's on your mind? And makes two of us. If you're looking to find religion, maybe you want to start with a god that hasn't been burned to dust, but I won't stop you. Aethys, he was a young man with a silver crown. Carried a candle around with him. Sounds like I'm giving a bad eulogy here. In my way. I don't suppose he expects me to show up at his temple these days. Not much left to do for him other than keep his memory alive and keep hoping that he's just been playing a joke on all of us these past 15 years. Raised that way. My family's been Aethasian going way back. Suppose it wasn't much of a choice at first. Don't know for sure why my family started worshipping him. Probably because of Gon looking after folks like us. There was something I genuinely liked about Aethys. Always. Like he understood people better than the other gods. Knew all our flaws and weaknesses and accepted us for that. Folks are at their worst when they're afraid. A god like Aethys, he made you realize there was nothing to fear. Made you a better person. Of course, he goes away for a few years and look what happens. Was his actions. Not when he started his rebellion, not even when he took over Rhaed Saris. It was when he sent his armies into Deerwood. You sure you don't want to talk about something more pleasant? Like the War of Black Trees or the Legacy or something? What's on your mind?
Following your lead. It's good to be on the road again. A wanderlust is nothing rare in the people of Rawatai, but often I think myself alone in loving the land as much as the sea. What shall we see next, I wonder? What shall I tell? I am Kanarua, born in the royal city of Tekoa, from which rules the Ranga Nui. There. That is a solemn enough start. I am a lore chanter in the college there, or at least a student of lore and a chanter both. I was on the usual path at first. Theology, the traditions, when the Gate of Great Teeth was completed. It was all my father had hoped for, the greatest commission he had ever received. But it was also a sign that Rawatai was changing, looking inward. Meanwhile, I was neck deep in the writing of a dozen nations, marveling at all the things that lay beyond our borders. Ah, Rawatai. Shall I describe the pearl-white sands, the sapphire waters, the multi-hued tiles of the rooftops, like a mosaic upon the coast? Sorry. Tekoa is doubly famed, a royal city and home to the Coral Harbor. The Ranganui's palace is there, and we've a fleet of royal ships sitting outside the Gate of Great Teeth. Every so often, you'll hear the roar of a cannon being tested. The Tanvi Oratoa. It's not really a book. It's been passed down over the years in the form of a chant. I actually found it a little strange at first, seeing it set down in stone. It's not quite the same as a song of worship, though we have paeans to the gods as well. More a kind of moral guide. It gives us something to aspire to. The, model of a virtuous citizen of Rauatai. There have been arguments as to the chant's true interpretation, new translations even. But any rendition of it I find in the ruins of Engwith will predate those translations by 2,000 years. And finding it here also proves that we still have much to gain from trading with other cultures. I'd be lying if I said I'm not looking forward to seeing the look on everyone's faces when I get back. But in the long term, I just think that we can learn a lot from the Engwithians. A civilization like that is something to aspire to. A model for Rauatai as a whole, and not just its people. And I want to prove that all of this is worthwhile. Traveling, seeing the world for what it is. It's been so different from sitting in the Chanter Hall and studying books. More or less. It wasn't a popular theory when I suggested it. The idea that we shared the Tanvi Oratoha with some older culture, I mean, doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't help that my family is from the Deadfire Islands. If I had a copper pot for every chanter who suggested that it's just not in my nature to conquer. My siblings, my parents, they make up for it. They build walls and cannons and ships. I've tried to explain. It isn't that I think those things aren't necessary, but if Rauatai closes itself off from trade, turns on its own people over tradition, we will fall behind, and then we'll be the ones getting conquered. I think my father tries to understand at least. Much of Ingwith's writing is lost to us, but an engraving would survive. I found several tablets at the site in Exameton. The scholar Gabranos, in particular, seems to have been fond of writing on the walls. I may have to ask you to help me carry it, if it's a large stone. Dutiful, learned, honest. The sticking point is loyal. Loyal to the people of Rauatai, above all others. Fearless in their defense, and bold in aspiration. Tireless in battle or industry. An inspiration to one's people. But it seems it's not that far a leap from there to the idea that we must cast out foreign influences. Doesn't everyone want to be a good citizen? I don't know that the distinction is necessarily important. Rauatai has a long history, and our people have come from many different places. It matters less who wrote it than that I have found pieces of the verses all around the world. Wherever it came from, it will be Rauatai that decides what becomes of it. All the races and peoples of our kingdom coming together to create a great empire. You see, then, that I am loyal in my way.
What? If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door. The cost of troubling me seems to worry you little. That's a curse that runs deeper. It's a god hammer of a different sort. And like the god hammer, it was made by men's hands. There are fewer souls. There are more vessels. It is simply equaling of the process. I feel more remorse in putting down a slathering hound. A wight? Less than a mongrel in its misery. Murder is a kindness, not a crime. Always has been. I would sooner put the blade to those who are to blame instead. If any spirit should be punished, it's theirs. Murder you? I would not grant you any of them. The mercy I grant the Hollowborn. You would not be deserving of it. Murder is an old word. Mercy is letting a soul fly free to the next body. True punishment? Ruining someone to their soul. Crack their spirit like you would crack their skulls with a staff. Beat them. Hurt them in mind and body. So their souls become shards. But you leave it inside the vessel like a bag of glass to either choke on it or pass it through their bloody stool. Then, leave it in the body to think on it, like planting a new field with the right seed. Many marks may I make upon your flesh, but flame leaves marks that cannot heal. Magran doctrine dictates true punishment is one that remains in memory, in the soul, in the flesh. Even should the victims die, slowly or swift, sometimes by their own hand afterwards, the lesson lingers, burned in their flesh. Have you seen a man branded by flame? He remembers it always, in every waking movement. It is a lesson writ in the only ink and vellum that matters, blood and flesh. One can burn the soul as well. It is an art, and I do not take pleasure in it. But there is more at stake here than forgiveness. Many of Aethys' faith were punished in the purges following the Saints' War. And the ones that harmed children, they suffered worse. We did what must be done. Wherever they were rooted out, their souls reclaimed. And if they couldn't be reclaimed, we ensured they would never inhabit another body. Aethys was the god of rebirth, and his light does not fall on the Deerwood. I've heard some claim it's his doing, his death. It's closed the halls to new souls. I doubt it. The Hollowborn have their roots in the acts of men, women. I feel it.
Keeping an eye out.
See now what the flame has shown us?
There. What did I tell you? Sure.
Following your lead.
Hey there.
Following your lead. Hey. Answer.
How may I help?
Following your lead.
What?
How may I help?
Yeah?
Following your lead.
What? The borrowed beyond seek.
Following your lead.
Yes?
Yeah?
Following your lead. Answer. Following your lead. Yes?
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
How may I help?
And what does the flame reveal?
Sure. Give me a real challenge. There's something you don't see every day.
Let's see what...
They'll never know I'm here.
shall be discreet.
And the fire shows me something new.
Yeah? Give me a real challenge. Hey there.
Following your lead. Lead.
What?
Yes?
Hey there.
Saul. Following your lead. Yes?
That's it?
Following your lead. Block 10! Ansawu!
How may I help?
That looks like it hurt. I'll take a peek.
Yes? Following your lead.
Hey there. Sure. Bullseye.
Where... On. Following your lead.
How may I help?
Mm-hmm. That looks like it hurt.
I'll see what I can find.
Hey there. Sure. Hey there.
Yes?
Hey there.
Following your lead.
Aye?
Following your lead. Yes?
What? Moeth Ixi.
Following your lead. Sacre!
Aye?
Moeth Ixi.
Hey there.
Ansawu!
How may I help?
Following your lead. Following your lead.
Hey there.
Yes?
Lava will be on secret!
Yes?
What? What?
Yes?
Hey there.
Lava! Lava will be on seek!
Yes?
What?
How may I help? Thank Yes?
What?
Worth and wrath! Ooh! Yes?
Following your lead.
No!
Aztec worth and wrath! How may I help?
What?
Following your lead. Following your lead.
Beyond seek!
Lava will be on seek!
Following your lead.
Aye? Lava room. Yes? Lava will be on seek! How may I help? Aztec worth and wrath! Lava will be on... Seek! Yes?
Proacte! With